Hello, I'm Susan Nash, DDE, and I'm very happy to introduce you today to Manu Pubellier, and he's with the Geological Mapping Group. Welcome.
Thank you, Suzanne. So I'm Manu Pubellier from the CNRS in France, and also I'm the president of the Commission for the Geological Map of the World. And the purpose of this very short presentation is to introduce the activity of the Geological Mapping Group from the Deep Time Digital Earth program. So the Geological Mapping Group is basically hosting two programs. One is the two projects. One is the World 5 million Digital Geological Map of the World at scale 1 to 5 million, and also the Tectonic Map of the World at scale 1 to 5 million, which has just started. The aim of the group is to design standardized database and metadata for digital geological maps, but also to construct intelligent database and develop 3D geological mapping. Of course, this is quite ambitious. So we want to leverage on a large project, which is the World5M, the Digital Geological Map of the World at scale 1 to 5 million. This project has been funded by DDE, that means also by IUGS, and is also supported a lot by the Chinese Academy of Geological Sciences in Beijing and by the CGMW in Paris. The aim is to compile all the existing 1 to 5 million geological maps of the continent, to synthesize and update ocean map features, and to harmonize maps in terms of stratigraphy, structure, but also databases. Later, we would like to sort of link these map representation of the geology with the other DDE project, so that it could be sort of an entry point for the DDE projects. The digital maps of the world, the continent at least, 1 to 5 million, already exist for all the continents. They are, however, neither harmonized in terms of stratigraphic cuts, nor tectonic features, nor resolution, nor layout. So that there is a lot of work to do. It is not easy. So we start by harmonizing oceans. The opportunity is that the oceans are much simpler than the continent in terms of geology. And the challenge is that in the oceans, they are sort of large database, but they are very regional, very local, actually, and they are associated with grid, which actually come from geophysics, but there are not so many maps. So what we are doing is that we try to digitize, for example, here very carefully and in detail the ridges, but also transform faults or fracture zones, so that they become elements that can be put easily into a database. What we have done so far, the project started 3 months ago, is to compare and analyze all the existing database from Europe, Africa, Australia, Arctic, South America, North America, and so on, and to compare them in terms, for example, here in polygons, to see whether we need to add some, accept them, modify them. And as far as the oceans are concerned, we have to construct the data structure. The most difficult part is to correlate all the stratigraphic cuts and harmonize, of course, regional and local stratigraphic names. We are testing for this following the International Commission on Stratigraphy. We are testing a tool, which is the StratTime tool, which is available already at CGMW for free, of course, and try to make our homogeneous standard. In the future, the Geological Mapping Group will try to step into 3D by not exactly by doing detailed cubes of geological data, but more by performing wireframe of lithospheric crustal sections that can be later customized easily by users so that they can put their own data or results. We're also exploring whether we can peel off some of the structures which are visible at the surface on the geological maps in order to show subsurface structures, for example, basement. That would be sort of 2.5D representations. So finally, we would like to say that we are a small group, and but we are willing very much to accept all the volunteers who want to work in this fascinating project. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. This is really wonderful and really appreciate it. I have a few questions for you. First, I'd like to ask you that if people would like to get in touch with you, what is the best way to do that?
The best way is to go through CGMW. There's a website, there's an email, that's very easy to do.
Oh, perfect. Perfect. And then also, I'm just wondering if you're working with any of the startups. For example, there's a group called Earth Peel. That's a small little startup, and they are working in a certain way of like being able to access data and kind of peel back layers.
We are working with some of the groups, those who are the Visioterra, for example, that is making representation of the envelopes of the globes on 3D. But there are actually so many groups in the world that touch this subject that it is very difficult not only to get in touch with them, but to coordinate or try to understand or put together their activities. So this is really difficult. We have started with the oceans now. There are many groups that are trying to make a database and standards, and there are many discussions. I mean, it's our everyday life to try to put these people in contact.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, really all the more reason for you to be doing the overall harmonizing, because all these tiny little groups working separately can just lead to, like I was looking at your stage number 3 of trying to harmonize in the local sense. I mean, once you have all these little pods that are all doing things in different ways, if you can figure out a way to quickly harmonize them, that's even better. Yes,
it is easy to put two groups together, but when a user wants to have some data, it's a jungle. So it's very difficult to access the proper data. So I think solutions like going through the IUGS and the DDE is one way to do it. Absolutely. And I can just think of immediate places where it would be useful. You're doing it in the ocean, well, all those different ideas of questions about what's going on and different margins, for example, conjugate margins would be interesting. And then I'm thinking of, like, even in places like Western Oklahoma and Texas, where you have the granite wash, every single unit has a different name. Exactly. and the namings are completely inconsistent. And this would be so useful. Yes. So at CGMW, we are sort of used to these issues because there are many geopolitical links, implications. So we are very used to see the places where these are sensitive, and so that we are used to remove the names where they are too sensitive. So that we had this when we realized, for example, together with USGS, the map, the tectonic map of the Arctic, which was a great success, but was not so easy to achieve. We also have issues in the South China Sea, where it is difficult to put all the interest of all the countries around the South China Sea. So there are lots of very interesting discussions. And since we are working with scientists, it's easier to communicate. That's true. So we find these like political unconformities or political disconformities. Yes.
Anyway, well, that's really wonderful. And I just would like to thank you. And so we've been speaking with Manu Pubellier, and it's a geological mapping group of DDE. And I would just ask everyone to get in touch. Thank you.
You're welcome.